Cervantes, Apostles of the Pen by Egberto Bermúdez. In a lecture delivered to a group of Catholic writers, Jacques Maritain coined the term apostle of the pen, whose characteristics are the following. Number one, a good deal of humility and some kind of appreciation of yearning for the ways of the spiritual life. Hence, his work should be animated from within by emotion that comes from a higher source, which is able to reach the souls of men as no human dexterity can do, because spiritual experience born in charity is the most profound and fecund inspiration to creative work. Number two, what is to be hoped for with respect to a Catholic writer is that he may be an artist fully dedicated to the requirements of his art and the beauty of his works. Number three, Catholic means universal, to the extent to which he is true to type. A Catholic writer speaks to all men. As a result, a Catholic writer should endeavor to offer his thought in a vocabulary apt to touch not only his fellow Catholics, but every man. For Saint Therese of Avila, humility is the mother of all virtues and the foundation of the spiritual life. Something similar is said by Berganza in the Dog's Colloquy, and I quote, "You are aware that humility is the base and foundation of all virtues, and that without it there are none," end quote. Human virtues and the theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity were essential in the life of the writer Cervantes and play a prominent role in his masterpiece Don Quixote. Therefore, it is reasonable to affirm that in Cervantes we have an extraordinary an exceptional example of intimate coherence between life and literature. This is the same type of unity which Don Quixote would mention to Don Diego de Miranda, and I quote, "If the poet, however, is chaste in his morals, he will be chaste also in his verses. The pen is the tongue of the soul, and the thought begotten there will burgeon in whatever he writes," end quote. In addition, Cervantes' work, although not always explicitly Catholic, is animated from within by the writer's faith. Cervantes shows by the way he treats religious, and doctrinal matters in his works, that he has a solid grasp of Catholic doctrine and more knowledge about the subject that was considered normal in a layman in his day and age. It is beyond doubt that Cervantes was an artist fully dedicated to the requirements of his art and the beauty of his works. In the prologue of his exemplary novels, he calls them exemplary because from an artistic and an ethical standpoint, they are well written and a source of honest entertainment. And what can be said about his masterpiece, Don Quixote? Well, Don Quixote is the best known and influential Spanish novel of all times. The favorite of famous writers, such as Dostoevsky, Faulkner, and Twain, among others. Finally, Don Quixote has proven to be a work of such an universal appeal that is able to captivate an almost infinite number of readers, as was recognized by one of his characters, Bachelor Sansón Carrasco, and I quote, "For it is so plain that there is nothing in it to puzzle over. The children turn its leaves, the young people read it, the grown men understand it, the old folk praise it. In a word, it is so thumbed and read and got by heart by people of all sorts," end quote. In conclusion, because of all the reasons that have been given, Cervantes is, according to Maritain's terminology, an extraordinary and true apostle of the pen. He leaves us as a legacy of love Don Quixote, the best known and influential Spanish novel of all times, to teach while amusing us with a masterpiece of honest entertainment, whose language delights and its invention amazes and astounds, in an extraordinary mingling of delight and moral philosophy, truth with jokes, the sweet with the useful, and the human with the divine. It is a metaphor of man's search for absolute beauty, goodness, and truth. Thank you for listening.